Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on the Waitlist. We got me, we got Trevor. This is the second waitlist that we have while I'm still at Disney World. Hopefully, if I ever get there, with hurricanes and other things going on.
The funny thing is that you'll be, hopefully you'll be there, when this comes out. So then we're, your whole comment there about hopefully I made it there.
I certainly hope so. Yeah, if I'm not here by the second Monday that I'm supposed to be there, then we really have a problem.
If that's the case, then what's going to happen is that you'll end up just doing
we won't even play
episode.
This. Yeah, we won't even play this because I'll be back, and
and then this will be the lost episode. Ooh.
The lost episode. Now we'll just save this. We'll just save this for another time. I'll cut out all the beginning part. Yeah,
we can play it again in like 2 years, and no one will know the difference.
No one will know. Yeah, no one will know. We'll just have to cut out all the the references that we have, and then then we'll be good. So.
That would actually be fun if we played it like way far in the future and people would like had to kind of figure out when we recorded it by all the hints.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
We actually recorded this in 2019, just so everybody knows.
These are actually really
so
old,
so old.
Like we recorded these when we were planning our original trips that got canceled years ago. So this is what you're getting.
Yeah, this means that topic that we're bringing up right now has nothing to do with the D23 that happened recently.
Yeah,
we're just coming up with this on our own. Yeah,
we totally invented this, and we saw into the future. So,
so we got a question a little while ago here, a couple episodes ago, from Dan K talking about the blue sky concepts from D23. And asking us what would we prefer, either Zootopia or Moana Land to replace Dino Land, and would you prefer either Coco or Encanto? I think what we're going to do here, though, is we're going to design these lands with all of the things that they announce. So Zootopia and Moana at Animal Kingdom, and we're going to talk Coco, Encanto, and Villains Land over at Magic Kingdom. And come up with.
I have no idea how this is going to work. But
what do you mean? What you got to come up with rides? This is
Yeah, but you're hitting weird intersections in my brain that
don't work together. Is that what you're?
Yeah, like I have to force myself to figure out how these are going to make sense together. So okay, where do we want to start? Do we want to start in Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do Animal Kingdom. Let's do Animal Kingdom first.
Okay, so the premise here is Dino Land is going away, and the new land is Moana and Zootopia.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got some thoughts.
Go for it. Yeah.
so first of all, I feel like Moana is a fairly straightforward thing we're doing here, right? We're talking boat dark ride. Has to be, right? Because what else are you going to do with Moana? Half the movie takes place on the ocean. You know what I mean? Like, you can't not do a boat ride.
But it's not. I mean, it's not. Okay, but it's not at nighttime though. It's all during the day.
Yeah, but
how could it be a dark ride?
It could be light in the dark ride.
Fine, but
how about you make it indoors and outdoors, like Splash Mountain? Kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, all right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so boat ride. So what would be? What would be in a Moana boat ride? Like it wouldn't just be like, there's like the open water stretching as far as you could see and nothing.
Oh, this is easy, Trevor, right? So you could just follow the plot of the movie, right? Like, so you start off and you're trying to figure out how to sail. You're going different places here. I mean, you're in this ride, you're the point of view of Moana, right? So you're sailing the boat. Okay. And I don't think this should be like a big boat ride like a Pirates. I think it should be a smaller, more intimate boat ride, similar to Navi River Journey, where it's just a couple people in each boat. So I think that's maybe a little bit of a better situation here, because you could have the sail in there. You could really like make it like the raft that she goes on, right? And
is that a catamaran or no? Is that
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, probably that's what you would call it, right?
Okay. Sorry, I want to make sure I get the terminology right.
The terminology right? Yeah. Okay, that's fair. So what we're looking at here, right? So you start out, it's fairly easy. You're leaving the island behind, right? And then you hit the storm, right? She hits a storm, and this is an easy spot for a drop, right? You throw a drop in there because she's going through all these waves. I mean, you can even throw two in if you want, or you could do like a backwards portion like they have on Frozen, or before when it was what do you call it? Why am I blanking on the name of it?
Maelstrom.
Thank you. I almost said Matterhorn, and I'm like, I know it's not Matterhorn, but it's an M word in my head.
You're in a totally different place.
No, I know. I knew it wasn't. I just, in my head, that word came up, and I was like, oh, okay.
M word.
Not that.
Yes.
Yeah, M word. So then you can have a drop or two, and then she gets out of the storm. We meet up with Maui, right? And at one point, if you've seen videos of the Shanghai Pirates of the Caribbean, at one point they do a thing where you go underwater, where they simulate you going underwater, right? Mm-hmm. So you can have that part of the movie where she goes under the water. So you can have Tamatoa there, and you could do the whole thing with him, and then you come back out, and then eventually we go and we do the thing with Taka, right, and Tafiti, and then after you defeat Taka and Taka turns back into Tafiti, and then the ride's over. That's it. Like, you could just do the movie. Like, it would be, and you could make a fun ride out of that because you got a couple drops in there, you got all the animatronics, you got all that. To me, I think that would be easy, but I mean, not the most creative thing because you're just doing the ride. But I mean, that's what a lot of the dark rides are. I mean, the Little Mermaid ride is just telling the story of the movie, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. Disney's done it forever. So that's what I would do with Moana. Right.
Okay. Yeah. That actually does make a lot of sense. And, I don't think I can really improve on that. So, so fine. Moana is a boat ride, similar to, or so would it be fair to say a mix between Splash Mountain and Navi River Journey?
Yeah.
Which actually would be, okay.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say that.
I'm on board with that. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you could have the inside portions be for like when the storm happens and when when you go underwater at that one point, and then at the end, I mean, if you want to have it outside, I guess for the Taka piece, I guess you could, but.
Or I guess, okay, maybe what you could do for the outside stuff is like the whole area is designed like Motunui, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the island. So like you're like cruising around Moana's island, and then he kind of goes in and does all the okay. Yeah, I can see that. So that would be one side of one part of the land, and then the other part would be Zootopia, right?
Yeah. So I mean, so are we? I guess we're talking about Moana as being a one attraction land, really, right?
Well, okay, sorry. So we were deciding on it's either or, not combining the two.
No, we're saying both. I'm just saying like the separate Moana land would maybe only have one attraction, even though I will say that the concept art seemed to show a boat ride and a flat ride of some sort. Like it seemed like there was some sort of Dumbo kind of esque ride, which I don't know how that fits with Moana, but whatevs. I mean, like
hey ride or.
I would love, by the way, and I'm not going to spoil. I don't want to spoil Rise of the Resistance for you, but I'm not. I promise. But I would love if each raft had an animatronic built into it, like an animatronic. Hey, like just on there, just every once in a while, providing comic relief and eating something it shouldn't or something like that. Unrealistic, given, but that would be very cool if they could do that.
Okay.
So
I'm assuming because yes, I know there's like an R2 unit or something on the Rise ride. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. So if when you go on Rise of the Resistance, there's a droid on the front of it that beeps and boops and moves its head and stuff. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you could do something similar, now I don't know if that would be more complicated with a with a hey, but
I feel there's more articulation to hey than there is to an R2 unit. So yeah, I think that would be a little more difficult.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's keep it at. I know the proposal was potentially 2 rides, but in the interest of time, because this is a wait list.
Yeah, that's the e-ticket. Let's stick with the e-ticket, right?
Yeah. Okay. So then flipping over to Zootopia, my initial thinking was, I had 2 thoughts here, and I guess I'll put them both out and see which one gets more attention.
Okay.
Or which one feels like it might be better to flesh out. So my initial thought was actually to make a mini monorail ride.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Because the whole beginning of Zootopia was Judy coming into Zootopia on the train, and it is kind of like a monorail, or it is a monorail, but it's on a bigger scale. But this is like kind of like it would almost be akin to the Finding Nemo submarine ride in Magic Kingdom.
Okay.
Because that's actually, it's the same kind of thing, even though it's a submarine ride. You get in and you're just kind of taken through a bunch of different scenes. But of course, being Zootopia, you would see it would be all these scenes with different, the different areas of Zootopia, right? The jungle and the Arctic and all that. And again, they can enhance it by, as usual, using some of the 4D effects, like, heat and cold and stuff like that, to really emphasize the area that you're in. So that would be my first thought. The second thought would be, really focusing in on, I personally liked the jungle area, or I liked that whole, chase that they did with, the panther chasing them through the jungle. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
The show or not, but
yes, absolutely.
But because the jungle is very like up in the air, it feels like it could be almost like a Peter Pan ride, in that it would be a track ride system, but it would be suspended instead of underneath, and then you could get those views of the high, or the roads underneath of Zootopia. And again, the whole idea would be, it would be like that. You're kind of following Judy and Nick through the jungle, maybe as part of that, like, them being chased and hiding from the panther and that kind of stuff. So, So those are my 2 thoughts around a Zootopia type ride. So I don't know which one's better.
Yeah, no, I think for me, like, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here, right? Because like we kind of talked about, like, they're building a Zootopia e-ticket attraction, right? Like, they're building one already, and my feeling is that they would probably just copy it from over in Shanghai, right? So like that would be my guess. But and from what I can tell, this is we talked about this. This is like a dinosaur-esque ride.
Yes.
/ Indiana Jones /
Yeah, I was trying. I mean, I was trying to avoid that, because I knew that, like, I think the obvious thing is that they're going to repurpose dinosaur into whatever the Zootopia ride is. Makes sense.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, I mean, because since it's like shaped like a police car, my assumption is that they're going to basically be chasing criminals around the different Zootopia lands. And which, listen, it's actually set up well for that, right? Like to have that kind of thing, right? Because they can do all the bumps and all that, and they can, they can do sharp turns, and they can go to different lands really quickly. They can go fast, they can go slow. Like there's a lot of advantages to using that kind of ride system, So it wouldn't shock me if that's what they did, if they just copied this over at some point. But I do think, like, if for them to do a Zootopia land, there needs to be like a lot of like the details of Zootopia, right? But the problem is Zootopia, like, as a part of why that I enjoyed that movie anyway, is like there's so many possibilities, right? Because like you have all these different lands. You have the desert one, you have the frozen area, you have the jungle, like you mentioned, like they're all
the hamster
unique ecosystems.
area.
Yeah, they're all unique ecosystems that are like their own thing, right? And it's just massive scale. But I totally agree with you. The idea of I love the idea of the train coming in, right? Like that's. And like doing almost like a tour of all of those, doing like a tour of all the different lands. I think that would be cool.
But like, and like if you think about it, it's like I said, I was thinking monorail, but it's actually more closer to the people mover if you really think about it.
Yeah,
because and honestly, I'll say this: we need more people mover type rides. As much as people may disagree, I think that type of ride needs to make a comeback.
Who doesn't like the people mover? There are people that hate on the people mover.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Nobody hates on the people mover. I mean, they want it back in California, which that in and of itself is kind of baffling that Disney hasn't done anything else with it. Like, and granted, I understand. They have these other systems, and that, like you said, copying from like Shanghai and stuff. They're using these other existing track layouts and everything, but yeah, another like a people mover type ride in a Zootopia setting would be very cool.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that, especially because you're talking about this huge, like we're talking about this huge scale, right? Like they don't even need to build all of it, right? Like they could make the train with windows like the Harry Potter train has, that are you could just make it go backstage and just make it seem like you're going through those areas and you're not actually going through those areas,
Yeah, just the virtual screen type stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you could do the exact same kind of thing, right? And travel through all those places. So, I mean, I think that would be pretty cool. I know not everybody wants to have Zootopia there or Moana there, I guess, but I think there's some really interesting things there, and I mean, I'll be interested to see what they do at the Shanghai Resort. They really haven't talked a lot about the details of that ride, right? All we've really seen is the
car.
the model of the car, right? Yeah. And like there's a ride poster too, right? Like so, and that's about it. So, but it looks like it's going to be some sort of fairly high speed ride, right? I mean, I don't know how high speed they're going to go. I don't think they're going to go like test track, but like I said, I think they're probably going to go more in the dinosaur kind of general area, right?
Yeah, Dinosaur and Indy are the rides don't move that fast, but just like trackless car rides, they're designed with hydraulics and movement inside of the vehicle that they can feel deceptively fast. So.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So, all right, so that's I think our Animal Kingdom side of things.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about Magic Kingdom and what they were calling
Beyond Thunderdome.
Beyond Thunderdome. Did you mean to say that?
I totally did. Yes.
Okay.
Come on, you don't like Little Mad Max?
Yeah. Anyway, so interestingly, so they kind of announced the idea of having 3 different distinct areas or 3 different lands beyond Big Thunder, right? And so why don't we start with let's start with Villains Land. Let's start with Villains Land. And I think when you're talking about Villains Land, so first of all, how scary are you going to make this, right? Like how scary are we going to go with this?
Like Booty You scary or Alien Encounter scary? Because I feel that's the spectrum we're dealing with.
Yeah,
right? Like Booty You is villains, but it's still very nice. Like they're not threatening or scary. Like it's parade type thing. And Alien Encounter is legitimately scary. So
yeah, well,
so there's that's. I don't know which one we're closer to if we're designing a land.
Well, and also you got to say okay, what are you going to feature the most, right? Like, so so who's the king of the villains or the queen of the villains? And I almost want to say Maleficent, right?
I was going there too. I always default to Maleficent's castle as the first.
Agreed.
Like when you say villains, that is where my head always goes first.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely. That's where my head always goes first, right? So the question then becomes, right? So here's part of the problem though, right? Like they can't really do the fire breathing dragon thing because that exists at Harry Potter, right? So they can't do that, which, as cool as that would be, it's already been done. Like, then it would just be like a copy of that. We don't want to do that.
And they already have it in the Festival of Fantasy Parade with the steampunk version
also
of it
true.
as well.
Yeah, also true. I do feel like this kingdom has to feature a roller coaster, right? Like, this feels like it has to have like a high-speed roller coaster in it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it definitely opposed to like so some of the other rides, I guess, or what's the best way to say this? Villains are just intense, right?
Yeah,
I guess is the best way to say it.
Yes.
Other rides don't lend themselves to being intense as much as a roller coaster does.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I feel like they could almost go back to, so for a lot of people, we talked about this, on one of the shows, that a lot of people think that they've always designed, they've always had a villains park, that they designed and scrapped, which is not true. But they did have a park called Beastly Kingdom, which is a real thing that was supposed to happen at Animal Kingdom. And they could almost take some of the concept for this and do it with a villain's kingdom, because one of the things that they had there was a dragon roller coaster, a dragon themed roller coaster, right? So like they could easily turn that around and make that like a Maleficent themed. It's like a dragon's keep, like it's a dragon's castle, right? Mm-hmm. So Maleficent has a castle, right? She's got a castle, right? I think. Yes. She's got something. I don't know Maleficent that well, to be totally honest.
So she's
got her castle. Yeah, she's got that dark castle, right?
Yeah, because it was the or she wasn't or I was thinking of in Sleeping Beauty she puts Sleeping Beauty to sleep in the other castle, and then the prince has to go to her domain to fight her. So yeah,
that's right. It's in the Forbidden Mountains, right? So this is to me, this is what you have in this park, right? I feel like you have to have Maleficent's castle. Whether it's, I mean, I would hope that they wouldn't go the lame route of doing what they did with the Beast Castle in the Beauty and the Beast area of Magic Kingdom. Like, don't do that. Like, do like a real. I mean, like, it's hard though too, right? Yeah, I don't think you should build like a real castle that you could walk up to either, because then you're talking the scale of that is too big, right? For them to do in just like a land.
Yeah, and the interesting thing, so I'm actually looking, because you're right. Like I forget what Maleficent's castle looked like, and
I had to Google it too. Yeah,
it was perched up on a cliff.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Like so you can't. Yeah,
you could definitely make it like far away though, like and make it pretty big still. You know what I mean? Like you could still do something cool with that. And then the roller coaster that's involved there, it's like we were talking about. It's a roller coaster that takes you around the inside of the castle, and you have encounters with Maleficent and stuff like that. I think that would probably be the e-ticket of maybe the whole land, because maybe you don't even have an e-ticket for the other two lands. Like, right, you just have an e-ticket in one of them. It really just depends on how big they want to go with this, right?
Right. Well, I mean, let's pretend that there's an e-ticket in each one.
Okay.
This is our thing, so we can say whatever we want.
That's true.
Right? Yeah.
That's true. Okay, and so do you want me to just go through what I think they should do in all three lands, and then you can do what all three lands, or do you want to do villains now?
Okay, so all right, let me do villains. Yeah, let's step through these one at a time. So
topic, yeah.
So my vision of villains was, it was still like a roller coaster, definitely. But instead of going with Maleficent, I keep going back to Fantasia, and specifically Night on Bald Mountain, where Chernabog is on the top of the mountain. And I
don't know why I knew you were going to go with Chernabog.
Yeah, well, because I think he's probably my favorite villain ever.
Yeah.
I mean, look at him; he's cool. Like, come on,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
So the thinking there is, it's a the set piece could be, just like, maybe Chernabog, like kind of half waking up from, because like in the show, he's kind of like, or he's part of the mountain, and then he opens up and spreads his wings and everything. So it's like one of those, like, maybe during the day or at certain points, the set piece, like you said, it's far enough in the background that it's not like you can't walk into it, but it's like, going into the evening, maybe he wakes up, or you see like, that movement of Chernobog. And then the roller coaster, the soundtrack is easy, it's Night on Bald Mountain, which, is very, again, it's an intense, it fits that roller coaster type theme. Yeah. And you can put it into, you can put it into a building very easily, because it's, just, winding around the mountain and all the ghosts and everything coming out of it. So, maybe not the most elaborate roller coaster, but I think it could be very effective. And as far as villains go, I feel it would kind of sit in the same realm as Haunted Mansion in terms of scary, which is, it's okay for most audiences, but it's still like younger kids would still be like, nah, I'm not going on that. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like that, basically what I want is a Haunted Mansion roller coaster.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But themed with Chernobog. So that would be my thinking on a villains type land, would be, using, bringing back a little bit of Fantasia, because the other thing, so I do like the Maleficent thing, but I think because of, in Disney World, it makes sense. But if they did something like that in Disneyland, you have Sleeping Beauty's castle, and then it becomes a weird, Sleeping Beauty's castle and then Maleficent's castle, right? And yeah, I don't know how well that, or it would work. Like, it definitely works in the sense of the lore, but I think it would actually take away from Sleeping Beauty's castle if they did that. So that's why I wouldn't go with Maleficent.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's fair.
Okay. All right. Next, do you want Coco or Encanto?
Oh man. Let's go with Encanto.
Okay. So
I feel like it's obvious where you have to go with Encanto, right? Like, it has to be about the house. No?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
It's got to be about the casita, right? Because it's like, obviously you can walk through the town, right? Like, so that's part of it, right? You got to walk through the town, and then you can to get to the casita. But I mean, like, the whole movie basically takes place around it, right? Like, there's no, they're pretty much in the house the whole movie. So I feel like you have to kind of do that. I don't know, and that's where all the possibilities are.
What if this was again another roller coaster type attraction, but actually, maybe I haven't been on it yet, but let's assume maybe something close to Guardians of the Galaxy, like using whatever this new roller coaster is, where, it moves and repositions for where you are in the ride. But, initially we were thinking about, the casita would be a walkthrough type attraction, right?
Yeah. I think they even mentioned that too.
Yeah. What if this was made into the casita was the queue area into this roller coaster featuring, about Bruno. So following, one up his tower, which is, the tower is kind of looming and scary, but then also into the walls behind the rooms where Bruno lives.
Okay.
Like that could be a very cool, and again, because of how, like, in between the walls and the casita are designed, it feels very tight and could feel very fast. And, if the car is positioned or, it's changing directions and all that, I think that could be a very cool ride. I feel like if they were going to do an e-ticket, it would have to be, it couldn't just be a walkthrough attraction.
Sure,
maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But,
no, I don't disagree with that. Interestingly, I'm going the other route because I'm seeing the casita, maybe just because this is informing on me because of the Haunted Mansion. I'm seeing it as Haunted Mansion-esque, where you do an Omnimover kind of ride, and it takes you through each one of the different rooms in the casita, and you get to kind of a more detailed look. And maybe at one point you go behind the walls to where Bruno's living, and do that whole thing. So that's kind of how. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You'd actually get to see like Luis's room and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get to see all the rooms you didn't get to see. And yeah, I'm just saying, like, maybe that would be kind of interesting, and like, your guide could be like Maribel, whatever, talking to you as they take you on a tour of the casita.
That would actually be cool if they did it like Mickey's Runaway Railway, where because my understanding is like on that it's like Goofy's kind of at the beginning of the railway, right? Like they have some animation or something there.
Yeah, so Goofy's driving the train, right?
Yeah,
so Goofy's driving the train.
Yeah, that would be cool if Mirabelle was like you were on a train kind of thing, but it was like the house pushing you along.
Yeah.
And she's like talking to the casita, or saying, "Hey, take them this way," or "Let's check out this room," or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of like
I
cool,
like that idea. Yeah.
There's a lot of cool like practical effects they could do and stuff like that. And I also think they could do like a restaurant in the little town where her Maribel's mom makes just it'd be her little restaurant of like healing foods or whatever. So
I need that healing food in
I need those
Disney after a couple of days. Yeah,
I need those arepas that she was doing, and I think that's in the song, right? Yeah.
No, there's what was it? She did. There was some. I can't remember what those are called. The little. Yeah.
Listen, Trevor. I listened.
They look like little buns or something that she's eating. They looked really good. But.
Are you talking about empanadas?
No, they weren't.
I was gonna say they were not empanadas. I know. I think they were arepas because I listened to that song every single day. Trevor, my daughter has my daughter has that song on repeat every single morning or every single day when I pick her up from preschool. So she always, Encanto, and she wants that one. So that's what I'm saying. You can have those.
They are arepas.
Yeah. So you can have those, and I think that would be kind of cool. So that's my thing for that. And then I feel like Coco's got a lot of great stuff you could do, right? Like,
yeah.
So there's a lot of richness to like just walking around the village there, right? But what I think you do, and I think there's some cool things they could do here, right? So especially they could do a lot of, not to reference Harry Potter again, but they can do what they do at Harry Potter at the train station, where they have that visual effect of you kind of like disappearing. Right, like they have a thing where you like kind of like disappear as you go into the train station. Right, you could do the similar thing with this, right? Where the queue for the ride for the e-ticket, you're going into Ernesto de la Cruz's tomb, right? And then at a certain point, you disappear. Right,
you end up in the land of the dead.
In the land of the dead, right? Because that's where this ride needs to take place. And I think you the queue is those cool marigold bridges, and then eventually you end up in that train station, that big train station, the central station you have. And the ride is that you board one of those trains, right? And the train takes you around the land of the dead, right? But I'm thinking of it this way, right? Because at one point, these trains, they show them on a track here, but I think at one point, they're in the air at one point, right? So like they're like suspended from above, right? So let's do it where you start off on the ground, right? Like almost like Peter Pan-esque, right? Where you start off as a regular train, and then at some point you end up in the air. And I'm almost, again, not to reference the Universal thing, I'm almost thinking of like the original King Kong ride, right? Where at a certain point you end up with the what is that? The spirit animal of the grandmother, right? That giant, like you have an encounter with that giant thing at some point, right? Why am I forgetting
that? That's,
I forget what it's called. I'm blanking on it, but
well, the animal's name is Pepita.
Is that what it is? Okay,
that's its name, but it's called what is it? It's something weird. I can't remember now.
Okay, gotcha. But everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Spirit animals, yes.
Yeah. So you encounter all those spirit animals, and you kind of take a tour, a physical tour of the land of the dead. So that's kind of my idea for that. I mean, there's a lot of detail that you could do in the queue here, but like, because you could do the whole like thing where you're walking through the gates and then you end up in this giant station, and then there's so many scenes they can take you through, right? Like there's that plaza, there's this big stadium, there's Ernesto's mansion, there's all sorts of places you can go.
Yeah, like where Miguel is playing or where he's singing on the stage and stuff like that. Yeah, it's
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I just think that would be very cool. Like I had always thought that they would maybe overlay the Mexico Pavilion and like get rid of the Three Caballeros, and replace it with something, like this, but do just like a simple overlay. But if they're going to build a whole Coco Land, which they should, this is what I feel like they need to do. But that's just my idea.
Yeah, so my only other change to that would same thing as I 100% agree. Whatever it is, it has to showcase the land of the dead and all the detail and everything that really is in the movie. But for some reason, if I was to do this, I keep visualizing it as a boat ride for some reason. I don't know why, but it just feels to me like it would almost work as like a Small World type ride. I know I'm probably sound crazy.
It's an interesting idea but I mean, is there even any boats in that whole movie?
There isn't, but I don't think
that doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. Like I said, because the whole thing is, like you said, it's not necessarily about being in the scenes of the movie.
That's true.
It's so much. It's almost like to me the vision is like you're on the boat ride and you're like seeing off into the distance, like you're seeing all the the architecture and everything, and then that actually gives the opportunity, because you're kind of removed from it, you end up like seeing the characters maybe moving through the scenery. So it's like you kind of catch glimpses of different parts of the movie, which, I don't know. I think that would be really cool. And I think maybe the reason that I'm thinking Small World is I'm thinking still like closer to Navi River Cruise, because that, like, a lot of the effects used in that, I feel could really emphasize a lot of what they did in Coco as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's my thinking. So that would be my take on Coco, and I think that's that kind of puts us.
It's at the end here, right?
Yeah, puts us at time, because we covered everything from the Blue Sky stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
let's wrap this one up too. Do the same wrap up we did with the other one.
Do the thing. Oh, okay.
Do the thing. Yes, the thing.
Yeah. So as usual, if you guys want to send us any trip reports, ask us questions, anything like that, you can always reach us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. If you want to find us on social media, Facebook and YouTube is Welcome Home Podcast. Instagram is Welcome Home Pics. Also, check out the Facebook group, Welcome Home Disney Waitlist. Join in there if you want to get part of the conversation. If you want to help support the podcast, go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com and check out some of our merchandise. And another way to support us is to go to patreon.com/welcomehomepod and check out the different levels of Patreon supporters we have there, with specific merchandise to Patreon, as well as giving you access to our Discord server. And last but not least, if you like us, consider leaving us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, or really any platform where you can leave us a review. But 5 stars on those ones is good. But we'd love to hear your feedback as well.
By the way, thank you to Dan K for the topic for this episode. We appreciate it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any podcast app out there. So really, that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. This has been The Waitlist.
This is Skipper Albert A. the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.